let's get this, this isn't very hard. Hebrews 1 says that God in the past, the God, the one God of Israel, a single individual, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times with singular personal pronouns. Ask any Jew. That God spoke in various ways, read the whole context there, at various times, in various manners and ways, in the Old Testament period. He didn't speak through a son. But now, at the end of those days, or in these last days, whatever the Hebrews writer means exactly, it doesn't matter. But by contrast with the Old Testament period where God did not speak in a son, of course he didn't. There wasn't a son to speak through. So that's the clear contrast.
How do you translate it?
Yeah.
From your...
I can read that too. I'm sure the many good commentators would support this too.
This is on Hebrews 1, 2, so if you can start from...
Yeah.
verse 1.
Yeah, I was making the point that since God spoke through the prophets in deliberate contrast with the present. He didn't speak through a son in the past. God, after he had spoken, there we go, at various times, in many ways in the past, to our forefathers, through the prophets, that's right up to Malachi, by the way, at the end of these days, or it may be in these last days, it doesn't matter, spoke to us through a son. The contrast is obvious. He began to speak in New Testament times. That's when the Son came into existence. Matthew 1:20, Luke 1:35. And God appointed this Son heir of everything and designed the ages through him. I've got it. The ages, not the world as though he created the cosmos. He created or arranged the ages through Jesus with him in mind. You must first settle the issue that you cannot pre-exist yourself. You have a very great anomaly if you're thinking of Jesus coming from a pre-existing life as what? Son of God? Silent in the Old Testament? Was he the angel of the Lord? That's impossible. No angel was there. Jesus is not an angel. No, with him in mind, of course, the whole thing was set up. But 50 times in the Old Testament you read that the Father did the creating alone.
Sorry, so,
Yeah.
so tell our viewers, as people who believe
Yeah.
that he was, what was he? Was he an angel?
That's right. If you're going to have him predating himself, which is actually an incoherent idea, but should you embark on that sort of thinking, then you say, okay, what did the Son say? Who is he? Name this Son who was alive before he was alive in the Old Testament. Identify him. That becomes very clear that if you say he's an angel, that's going to contradict the rest of the first chapter of Hebrews, where it twice says he's not an angel. You're lost. But the easy thing here is to abide by the simple Christology of Matthew and Luke. And if you're convinced that the Bible doesn't contradict itself, then don't try to contradict Matthew and Luke with isolated verses in Colossians and Hebrews. Don't do it. Simply put your stake in on the easy, full accounts of the origin of Jesus. That's Matthew 1 and Luke 1, where Luke has gone to great trouble to reassure us that the Son of God came into existence, not through Mary, but in Mary. It's only in the 2nd century that people like Justin Martyr, with their philosophical background, are beginning to push the Son back behind his birth, and that's where all the chaos has ensued. And we haven't got over it today. We need a Reformation which goes back behind Justin Martyr and the subsequent tortured years of controversy which produced finally the Trinity. Go back behind that and realize that Jesus was a Jewish, 1st century Jewish monotheist. I'm quoting Bishop Wright there. Of course, settle on that, settle on the Shema, and the rest will fall into place.